everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is O-Sheena. I am sharing all of the fall book recommendations I have for this season. I have done this video a couple times before in the past, so I'm going to link them down below. I didn't go and watch them again, so I may repeat some of these books, but if you want more recommendations, you can check those videos because I still stand by those recommendations. But this year I'm going to do it by category genre. So I'm gonna start, I guess I'll just do it in the order that I put them. So I'm gonna start with cozy recommendations, suspense, thriller, mystery, historical / biblical, fantasy, and then contemporary. So I will put timestamps down below for each of those genres, and if there is a certain one that you want to see, you can skip to that timestamp or just watch the whole thing. I'll have all of the books written down below, and I'm really excited to share all of these books with you. I tried to have quite a variety here. As you can see, I have a lot of genres to go over, and this is not an extensive list. Of course, there's so many books that you can read in this season, and you could read a summer book in September or October or November, and that would be fine. You don't have to read seasonally, but these books are meant to kind of reflect the season that we're in, kind of more of those like crisp, cozy, fallish mood kind of vibes, maybe a bit of spook for like the October Halloween season, but then also just if you want a nice romance story, I've got that for you. So let's get into it. For cozy, and I'm not talking cozy mysteries, I'm talking just like cozy vibes to the book. So I feel like the number one cozy book I could recommend this year is Edenbrooke by Julianne Donaldson, because this was just like a warm hug of a book. It was such a pleasant romance. It was a very pleasant story. Nothing super dramatic happened. Like there was a bit of drama near the end, and that made it exciting, but for the most part it was such a just like happy book to read. It's not really big on the historical factor, it's more so about the two characters you're following and the development of their relationship, and I loved that about it. So if you're looking for a very mild, light Regency historical romance, yes.
Do you have any candy or gummies?
Okay, short intermission. Sorry about that. I am back, and I also put a light on because it's getting dark, because I'm filming this later at night after work, because this is the only time I had to do this. Edenbrooke, did I tell you enough about it? Let's just leave it at that. Highly recommend. For all of these books, if I have reading vlogs or specific videos that they appear in, I will link them down below. If you want to see me like reading them in real time, if I have that, I will let you know. So definitely check the description for all the information, but here's my first recommendation. Okay, the next cozy recommendation I have is The Lost Library by Melissa Koslin. This is a self-published book, so you might not be able to find it in a library, but you can get it on Kindle Unlimited or like on Amazon. That's where I got my copy, and I do highly recommend this book. If you like slow burn, character-driven stories with a very intricate plot happening kind of in the background, it's more so about the characters kind of just discovering things along the way and then learning about them as people and then them growing relationships with each other. If you like that kind of style of writing, that's what this is, and I absolutely loved it. So it's definitely like kind of cozy in that sense, because it's not super fast paced. There is definitely like a lot of action that happens throughout the story, but that's not what it's about. And then also, of course, library is in the title. So it is about these two characters searching for this missing book that is supposed to be like, I don't even remember. It doesn't even really matter. The Golden Library of Moscow. There's some kind of like legend about that or something, and they're trying to find some of the books from that library. That's just, I'm gonna say that. But it's more so about these characters doing cool stuff and falling in love, and it's the best thing ever. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling as well, which is so fun. He protects her, grumpy sunshine a little bit, kind of enemies to lovers but not really, workplace romance a little bit too, on the run, close proximity, like all those great things. But there's no language that's clean. It's kind of Christian fiction. I don't think that they talk about faith at all in the book, but this is written by a Christian and it's like clean in that sense. So definitely highly recommend this one. And when I think of it, I think of cozy vibes. So recommend. Okay, if you want suspense, we're moving on to suspense from cozy. When I think of suspense, I think of Mind Games by Nancy Mehl. This book, it's a Christian romantic suspense, you could call it, but it is so interesting the way that she wrote these characters, because you follow an FBI profiler agent who profiles serial killers, and the way that she does it is she pretends to have a conversation with them and kind of imagines what they would say to be able to learn more about them. It's kind of similar if you've read the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. It's the Christian fiction romantic suspense version of that, where she's profiling serial killers and that's how she catches them. So it's really interesting for that. And that's where the suspense comes in, because the serial killer is killing and they're trying to catch them before they kill again. And there is very strong faith content in this book. It was incredible. I highly recommend this one. And there's basically no romance. Like, it's very slow burn. This is a trilogy, and so yeah, you don't really see much. Like, they barely become friends in the first book. So yeah, if you're not like big on romance, this book doesn't have very much of it. But highly recommend if you like some suspense. And it can be a little unsettling because you do get some perspectives of the serial killer. So Nancy Mehl does tend to write on the darker side, I guess, of suspense. So if you're like spooked easily, wouldn't recommend, but still, if that sounds interesting to you, I'd check it out. Now for thriller, I would recommend The Vanishing at Castle Moreau by Jaime Wright. This is a really interesting one because it's a dual timeline, but both timelines have a lot of thrill in them and very gothic vibes as well, if you like kind of the gothic scene, because it's set in this big manor, and both timelines are dealing with these women that go missing, and you're trying to figure out why they go missing when they go to this manor house. Both timelines have a woman that you're following, trying to figure out what's going on, and she feels like unsafe and like she doesn't know what's going on. And so there's a lot of thrill because of that, because of the kind of spook factor of we don't know where these women are disappearing to. And yeah, it was really good. What it turned out to be was so satisfying, and this is really solid Christian fiction too. So if you like historical dual timeline, this is a really great option. Okay, a mystery book. This is an interesting recommendation because it's not for everyone, and so I'm going to describe it and then you decide if it's a good pick for you. But it's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I listened to the audiobooks of these books last year, so I do have a whole video reading this trilogy, so if you're interested, I'll link it down below. But this, I would say it's young adult, but I don't know that it would be like healthy for young teenagers to... Yeah?
Sorry. I know you're filming.
Goodbye. This is why it's so hard to film, because life is so busy now that I've talked about this before, but my sister and I have lived in this same city for going on 4 years now, and we have a really strong community. So anytime we're not at work, we're making plans with our friends, and it's amazing. But it is pretty hard to stay consistent with social media when I don't like share other people other than, I guess, my sister for sure, and then like little bits of my family. But we don't put our friends in these videos, so it doesn't really work to film and like do that. So anyways, thank you for sticking with me. Okay, I was talking about A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. So yeah, it is young adult, but I don't think that it would be a great pick for teenagers because of the content that is in it. However, you know yourself, you know your kids, and it was a really well told story. And if you can separate like that this is not realistic, and yet maybe it is, that's the thing. Maybe you can just enjoy it for what it is. It's a story. Okay, so you're following this girl, Pip. She is in grade 12 and she's doing her capstone project, and she wants to investigate the murder of this girl who is supposedly murdered by her boyfriend, and then her boyfriend kills himself. So huge tragedy for this town, and Pip starts to become friends with the boyfriend's brother and starts asking questions and just investigates. And she writes this capstone project where she's interviewing people from the case and all of that, and you follow her process of getting to the bottom of things and figuring out what actually happened. It was so well told. I was so invested in this mystery. if you listen to the audiobook, it felt like I was listening to a movie. Like I could picture exactly what was going on. It was so easy to follow. And then plus when I had the book, I was able to like see some of the pages because it would include interviews and like video recordings and notes and things, and so it would show pages of that in the book. So I really enjoyed having that to follow along, and I just thought that it was a really like well told story. However, there is a lot of language, a lot of F words, so that right there, I'm like, dude, we want our teenagers to be reading those words at such a young age when they probably already hear it at school so much? I don't know. So that's up to you. And then there is a lot of teen drinking, teen like other stuff, and drug use and stuff. So it's just not great like lifestyle to be witnessing. And it felt realistic in that sense because I went to public high school. Yeah.
Last night.
Will I ever get this video done is the question. Okay, I truly don't know what I was talking about. I think A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Yeah, I recommend it. That's all I can say. This is the most unhinged recommendation video I've ever done, but there you go. And I would say that the series continues on having that kind of like more mature content in every book. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend this for teenagers, but as an adult, I really enjoyed it and the audiobooks were great. So I think this is a great recommendation for a fall read, but just for not everyone, I guess. Okay, let's move on to historical. And it's so crazy to have this book in a recommendation video, but I truly can recommend it now because I really enjoyed the book that I just read in the series. But it's the Timeless series by Gabrielle Meyer, and the first book is called When the Day Comes. And I gave this book 4 stars. I have a whole video reading this book, so if you want to see my thoughts, this is a very popular series. When it first started coming out, like the first, I'd say 3 books were so extremely hyped. I think I read When the Day Comes before book 3 was out, but book 2 was already out, and people were loving this series. Like, it just took BookTube by storm. It took Christian readers by storm, because the first book in particular was compared to Outlander. And so if you like Outlander but you don't want to read that level of content, When the Day Comes is a great alternative. And so I didn't really care about that because I never read Outlander. I'm not really into that. So I was like, no. I also don't like dual timelines usually, and this is dual timeline. So I was like, not interested. But the amount of hype that this series gets, I was like, you know, it would be fun to test it out. And so I made a video reading Christian BookTube's favorite books, and I ended up really enjoying the book. I did struggle with the dual timeline. There was one time period that I really didn't enjoy reading about, and then plus there was some content in that one that was upsetting, but it is a very cool concept. So basically you follow this situation, this girl who can cross between 2 timelines. She goes to sleep in one timeline and wakes up in the other, and she goes back and forth. And when she turns 21, she has to pick which timeline she wants to stay in. And it's passed down through generations of women and mothers who pass on this like ability to their daughters. So she has to pick which timeline she wants to be in, and one of the timelines sucks and we don't want her to pick that one, and then the other timeline is fine and like decent, but there's a dude in it that is like so frustrating. And so I was like, I don't know about this, like I'm kind of bored by both timelines, to be honest. But then there were certain little reveals that happened throughout the book that kept me interested, kind of in just like the concept. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay, what? And so I just kept reading, and by the end I was so impressed with how she wrote the story and made it all come together. So I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it now because I just recently read book 4 and I gave it 5 stars. So that was amazing. That was a really fun read because I haven't given any of the books 5 stars yet, but this was a true 5 star. I really enjoyed reading book 4, and I thought it was just the one that I was the most invested in while reading it. So I have a vlog for all 4 of the books so far, and I plan to always vlog when I read these books just because it's so fun, because it's fun to make predictions, and all of the videos are spoiler free. So if you have not read these books, you can still watch the videos and just see my reaction and see if it's might be something that you want to read. But the content in one of the timelines that I would just caution some of you, there is a sexual assault scene that happens twice actually in one of the timelines. So that was sad, but there aren't details really. It's like fade to black, you could say, but it's still, you know that it happened, and it's just like upsetting, of course, to read something like that. So just so you know, that is there, but otherwise it is clean, no language, all the things, and really great faith content, a lot of good like faith lessons that a lot of the characters learn throughout the books. So I would highly recommend. Okay, I'm going to recommend a fantasy book now, and I would recommend The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. This is a trilogy, and I was so surprised by how much I really liked this book. I have read the whole trilogy, and I gave every book, actually I gave the first 2 books 4 stars and the third one 5 stars because it was just so satisfying how it all came together. But yeah, I would recommend this because it's just a straightforward fantasy that still has a lot of fun twists in it. I feel like it used some of the classic fantasy tropes, and then it definitely, the way she wrote it, made some of the other, like, maybe things you could probably see coming if you knew stuff, or I don't know, if you read into everything. But I feel like the way she wrote it was so mysterious and not the focus that she was still able to trick even people who may have like thought they could predict everything. I don't know if that makes sense, but you follow this world where royals who have powers. So the ruling family has elemental magic that they can manipulate an element, and they are a good family. They rule the kingdom in a really nice way, but there's lots of kingdoms all around. And in one of the kingdoms, there's this prison that like all of the bad guys go to, and you can never escape it. You just have to like work until you die, basically. And at the very beginning of the book, this girl and her dad are put in the prison. And so she has to become the prison healer, meaning she works in the infirmary and she helps people who like get hurt or something. And then she also brands every new inmate that comes in. So that is the story. You follow her in this prison, the people that she meets, and all the stuff that happens. And it maybe sounds boring, but it was a slow burn, but it's so satisfying by the end. All of the reveals that happen, it was really great. There's no language in this series. There is no spice in this series. There's one scene where the characters are sharing a bed, but nothing happens. And there is mention of like different characters that have same-sex attractions, but otherwise I think that this is a great recommendation for any age group, anyone who might be interested in a book or series like this. The magic was also fine, like it was all elemental, so it didn't feel evil. There was definitely someone who wanted to use it for evil, but it wasn't like coming from an evil source, if that makes sense. So yeah, this is a great recommendation, highly recommend. Okay, some just like kind of general Christian fiction, I guess I could say. If you have not read This Present Darkness by Frank Peretti, now is the perfect time. This is so atmospheric, and I think it's set in summertime, or it's set, I don't know, it's not set in the fall or winter time, but the things that it's about and what happens, I feel like is for sure like October vibes, because you follow this pastor in this town and he is getting spiritually attacked, and there are scenes between the angels and demons, and you get to see them talking to each other and talking amongst each other. You get to see how the Christians, when they pray, what happens in the spiritual realm, and then you kind of see this big evil plot going on that is trying to take over this town, and this pastor of this church stands against it, and you see like what happens when the Christians unite and stand to protect this town. So it was so beautiful the way it was written, because it just showed the power of prayer and how our prayers do shift things spiritually, but that it means that we're going to be under attack. I'm sure most of you guys saw what happened this week in the States. A really devastating thing happened, and I think it's definitely related to spiritual warfare. I feel like this book would give hope. If you read this book and you're a Christian, there's always hope, and we just have to get on our knees and pray. So I encourage you to check this out if you haven't, and if you're needing encouragement, this is a pretty epic tale of the power of God, and that, yeah, things aren't perfect and there will be losses, but that God has the ultimate victory in the end. So take heart, and yeah, so highly recommend this. And then if you want just something easy, light, fun, sweet romance, read The Letter Tree by Rachel Fordham. This book is just a warm hug. This is cozy. I should have put this in the cozy list because this is kind of a Romeo and Juliet letter writing, super sweet romance, childhood friends to lovers, no third act breakup, just the sweetest romance you could ever read, and a really just easy story to consume, and pleasant and good vibes. And so if you just need an uplifting story to help encourage you, I would definitely recommend this book. It's so great, and it is set in Buffalo, New York in 1924, and it is just adorable. I just have good feelings when I think about this book, so highly recommend that. Okay, I'm going to piece together all of the clips that I got in this filming session, and hopefully it's a full video by the end. So again, I will write all of the books down below, and thank you so much for being here, you guys. I hope you're doing okay. I know things are hard, and I hope that this brought you a little bit of joy. We just have to keep fighting the good fight. It's so easy to get discouraged, and it's okay to be discouraged, but don't give up. Jesus is right here, and he saw this day coming, and he's not out of control. God's hand is over all of this, and we are still in a battle, and this is not the end. We're living for eternity, but we're gonna experience like some hard times here for sure. But we're not alone in it, and we can be united in that as well with Jesus. So yeah, I think, I don't know, that's easy for me to say because I didn't experience the immense loss, so I don't want to be inconsiderate, but yeah, I just want you guys to know that, I don't know, that take heart and have hope, because yeah, Jesus is right here and he sees you and you are not alone. So yeah, thank you for being here, you guys. I think that's everything, so I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.